Well, I'm so excited that you're here, Kayli. Um,
Thank you.
Kayli is one of my cute friends. Thank goodness for Instagram that keeps us nice and close. Because it's, hard to always meet up when you're a single mom and you've got your babies, but we do have children that are the same age, and it's just fun to see how playful you are with life, especially with what you've been through, and just how you've been able to just be resilient in your struggles and show up authentically and go and pursue the life that you wanted post your divorce, and what you've really created for not only your two littles that I know, but this new addition to your family is just so beautiful and so inspiring. And so I I really wanted you on the podcast because I unfortunately know too many women that have been through a similar situation. It's way too close to home. And so I think that your wisdom and your experience would be really insightful and valuable. And when I did my episode 1 on not the plan, but still the purpose, a lot of women, I got a lot of views on that one. And so I was like, okay, good to know that people are really engaged with this story of women resiliency and showing up in life when it doesn't go the way that you're expecting. And so I just thought that you would be such a great guest. And so thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. And your words mean so much to me. And I also watch your journey and just the way that you continue to show up in so many ways, like as a mom, but also just in work, in life, as a friend. I feel like the friendship that you have and that you've cultivated is something that I admire about you so much. So I'm so grateful that you were even thought about me to be on this
Of
podcast.
course.
I'm excited.
Of course, of course. I'm so excited as well. So, just to kind of warm us both up to the conversation and wherever we may or may not go, um let's just start with early childhood. I feel like that's a super easy way to connect. Tell me about your roots, where you come from, family life growing up, what types of values and morals were instilled in you as a little girl, maybe what life and your perception was at your small age before life hits you in the face and wakes you up to the reality. Take me back.
Yeah. Um, so I was born in Dallas. Both of my parents were in the Navy. That's how they met. I have an older brother, and when I was born, there was some stuff that there's still a little bit of mystery behind as far as like my immediate family goes. But we ended up moving. I was very young. I think I was like 9 days old, and we were on a plane to Hawaii, on the Big Island. That's where my mom is from. That's where all of her family is. And so from very, very young, I grew up in Hawaii. I was raised by my grandparents in my really younger years. My mom was still enlisted in the Navy after she had me, and so she went back after I think maybe I was like 3 months old. She went back to Texas, and my brother and I were raised by my maternal grandparents in Hawaii, and everything was great. Like my grandparents are very kind and warm. And I think too, like it's different when it's your grandparents versus your parents. They're a little bit more established and they've calmed down a little bit. So, yeah, I think in my really younger years, until I was probably 4 or 5, everything was fairly calm. Um, and then I'm not sure exactly what age I was, but we ended up moving back and forth a few times between Hawaii and Tennessee. My dad's parents lived in Tennessee. And so, really, what was happening is we were kind of going back and forth between my maternal grandparents and my paternal grandparents, and living between those houses. And I can remember that feeling stressful. Um, Yeah, one of the earliest memories I have of my mom is her telling us that we were moving to Tennessee, and just this like sinking, sick feeling in my stomach. Like I just didn't want to go, and I wasn't sure what that meant for us as a family or for me as a child. And just knowing that I was going to miss these people who had raised me and the only place that I really knew as home. Um, and we ended up staying in Tennessee until I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, so the whole time. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
God. Wow. And so as you grew,
Mhm.
was your mom and dad like in and out of your life when you were in Tennessee or?
So my dad was actually struggled a lot with alcoholism. Um, and he was very in and out. Sometimes for like a year at a time or months at a time. It was very sporadic. There would be days that it was like I hadn't seen him in months. I don't really know where he is or what's going on. And that's definitely just because I was younger that I didn't really understand what was going on, but he would just kind of come home randomly. Um, and that was really stressful.
Yeah.
I can remember I would peek out my window at night after I would go to sleep, and I would just watch all the cars drive by until I was like too tired to do it anymore, just trying to figure out like if he was coming home or not, because I
Do you know
wanted
what's
to
funny?
figure out what's up.
I have the exact same memory when I was little of,
Really?
yes, my mom dropping me off to for like the summertime to go to my dad's, and I would sit at the window, the same thing, and I would watch the freeway and wonder which one of the cars was hers and just sob like,
Yeah.
please leave me for, all these months. That's so interesting that we both
Yeah.
did that. I
So
feel
sad.
you. I feel you on that sadness. It's really stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we spent a lot of time actually going back to Hawaii with my grandparents, for like 3-ish months at a time during the summer. We would go back for Christmas. And that was without my parents. Most of the time, it was without my parents. Um, so that was also kind of like some back and forth happening
Okay.
there. Yeah.
And so when you were little and like, understanding like what your context was of a family, what did you what did you want to create for yourself in your future once you moved out of your situation?
Yeah. I always told my mom I can't wait to have my own house when I grow up. And it's interesting because I've had a conversation with my mom where we kind of dissected, was it, did it feel worse, the situation that we were in, because we knew that there was better? And in that way, it was, we were kind of referring to my grandparents' house where everyone comes home at the same time every day. We eat dinner together as a family. We play a game or we watch a show and we go to sleep, and everything's pretty much the same.
Mhm.
And that's what we were referring to as knowing better. And I think it did have an impact on me because I knew that my life didn't have to feel the way that it felt, as even when I was young, having those feelings at like 7 and 8 years old. Like, we don't have to do it this way. So why are we functioning like this?
Mhm.
Um, and all I wanted was a normal house, quote unquote, right? Like when I was younger, I wanted to grow up and I wanted to like drive an SUV and live in a neighborhood. And I just wanted to make dinner at 5:30 and everybody just comes home and we just do the same thing every single day. Like that's all I wanted as a kid.
Yeah. And what was the answer you were told from your mother as to why you had to be in Tennessee? Like, what's the reason?
Um, because that's where they were. I think I
Oh,
don't know if I ever was
your
that.
parents were in Tennessee.
My parents were in Tennessee. Yeah, my
You were
mom and my dad.
okay, got it, got it. Okay.
Um, and they were just trying to make their marriage work.
Mhm.
And I think my brother and I were just like a part of that effort, like just trying to make it work. Yeah.
Mm. So like, yeah, so you carried a lot of that for them. That's a lot. So with that, you took on like more of an adult role from a instead of having, your little magical childhood, it sounds like, and
Mhm.
tried to understand certain pieces of your childhood, but that would come later. Were there any like religious or like ethical or value based things taught in the home that like kind of created your box of, I don't know, like where you operate from, like this is what
Yeah.
I do, this is what I don't do, and this is what I want, and this is what I don't want, or no.
My grandparents, my mom's parents, were LDS and very involved in the church. And so when we were
Let me
with,
just stop you.
oh,
LDS is a Mormon for
yes,
people who may not know. Okay, go ahead.
yes, yeah. So when we were with them, which was significant chunks of time,
Mhm.
um, we were going to church and we were involved in the church. Like my grandpa at one point was bishop, so they were involved. And in my later years, as my brother was in like seventh and eighth ish grade, he started going, he started going to the Mormon church as well.
Okay.
And so there was some of that, but my dad was not religious at all. My mom was inactive. Um, and I think most of my framework for this is okay, this is not okay came from the feelings that I had experiencing what was going on.
Like the level of stress in your body.
Yes,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay.
And I do think that there was a lot of it. Like I just grew up really quickly. I had like a parent type role in my immediate family unit. And so I think that that's where a lot of that came from.
Okay, makes sense. So when you kind of fast forward your life into, you kind of leave your childhood and you're able to go create what you want. And as you said, you're able to go make that family that you told your mom you couldn't wait to have. Do you feel like A, you knew yourself, B, you were healed and in a good space to call in love? And do you feel like you'd ever even received the right type of love to know what you were looking for? Tell me about who you were when you called in your first husband.
Yeah. I, at the time, was uninterested in getting married, didn't want to have kids. I was also 19,
Yeah.
but I had just moved to Utah, and all of my friends were looking for husbands. All of my friends wanted to be moms. So
Mm,
then I started to kind of reflect on why was I feeling like I didn't want any of that.
yeah.
Um, I was nowhere near healed, ready to be in a relationship, any of those things at that time. I was still processing a lot. I think when I think back to that period of time in my life, I was so at war with so many things that I had experienced because when I thought about it, when I was like processing it, it was like all of these experiences have made me who I am. And I don't know if I like who I am. So I was
Mm.
carrying around a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment for my experiences. I think that a lot of people that were in my circle had kind of grown up in this like Utah County, Linden type
Yeah.
home. And so I would drop like little breadcrumbs of my past or my childhood, and the reactions that I got were always very intense. And so
Mm,
I think I just felt embarrassed, but I wanted to be here in Utah. Um, and then when I had met my ex-husband, he had shared the a similarity in me that like we had both had
mm,
significant childhood trauma.
yeah.
And
You
I
connect.
immediately like latched on to that because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not alone. You understand what that's like. I don't have to feel embarrassed when I, say crazy off the wall things. You're
Yeah.
not going to look at me like I'm crazy, like you get it." And when I reflect, I think that that was the biggest hook that kind of drew me in
Yeah.
to that relationship. Um,
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
So there was like a type of like knowing and safety and connectedness, and probably also, since we've both been through this, let's not recreate this, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that was conversations that we had had multiple times. Yeah.
See. So then, this question comes up for me because when I reflect, I know my answer. Did you see red flags in the dating that then came full circle and made sense once you were married, or did he seem like a wonderful man, as you dated, as you got engaged, as you got married, and then it wasn't until you were, wife that boom, then the behaviors changed and
I felt intuitively really off the entire time. Um, and I think that I'm gonna butcher the saying, but basically it's like familiarity is better than safety. And like that's what you go after is just like what feels familiar. So there was like this off feeling. I was definitely stressed. I was confused.
body knew that. Your body was like, oh, we know how to deal with stress.
Yes. And so
Mm,
I kind of just leaned into it, which now with a fully formed frontal lobe, I'm like, well, maybe not. But yeah, I was 18. I also, like I said, I wasn't trying to get married. I wasn't trying to have kids. So in my head, like, I don't know. I don't know. But I can remember days of like feeling physically ill
mm,
and kind of knowing, but not being willing to really reflect on what that meant.
yeah,
And a lot of my friends were also like, "Hey, I don't know if this is a good idea." And I think part of the reason that I didn't want to listen to that was I think I was like projecting that onto myself. I was like, "Well, he's been through a lot and you guys you
get
don't
it.
even know that part of him. You don't even get it. Like you guys don't know that side of me. And
Yeah,
you guys are, telling me that I don't know if this is a good idea." When in reality, like you don't know him. You don't know what
yeah.
he's been through. And
So
yeah,
true. Like, there's always that balance. Like, now that I've been through more in my life, there's this balance because to one degree you want to protect your man no matter what and be like,
yes,
I got you, babe. But at the same time, if your like your closest loved ones and your girlfriends who, to your point, like they may not have known you really, so like maybe those weren't your people, but maybe they were. But for like people who are close to you to say, I'm actually concerned about this, like
yes,
you kind of have to listen to that because they've
yeah,
known you and like they
yeah.
do they do see the best for you as well. And yeah, there's value in that. And with the right person, I don't think that your people would be saying that. You don't
No,
have to go and like war protect him because he's
Yeah.
probably just a great guy that like you don't need to defend. He's just a good person. So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
feels familiar to me too, where it was like, but you don't get it. And uh, yeah, you're just super defensive. And then you kind of
Yeah.
start to isolate just to your person and you start to shut off everyone else. And that creates a lot of unsafety when
Yeah.
you don't have anyone but that person who doesn't have your best interest.
Oh, for sure.
So, what happened from this point in your life
Mhm.
to when things really escalated?
I I think that um if I'm being honest, I think that for both of us, by the time, actually, I should only speak for myself. By the time that I had found out that I was pregnant, I knew this is not a relationship that I should be in, that I want to be in. Um,
With your first pregnancy?
yes, with Chancellor. So I found out I was pregnant like 2 days after I turned 19. Um, and we had been living together. It was a very odd situation. Like both of our leases are up at the same time. Um, and so like we'll move in together and that kind of I like once we moved in together, I was like, oh, this is really not healthy. And then I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Um,
You feel very
and I
dependent
think,
on them once you're in that state of vulnerability. And for
yes.
listeners who like aren't from Utah, because like just a little celebration moment, the podcast has like reached so many different countries already.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
outside of Utah, 100%. But for people that aren't here, oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh,
We were talking about, yeah.
yes, it's very common for girls here in this state to like get married young, get
Hmm.
pregnant young, it's because there's such a heavily Christian dominated religion, which is the Mormon religion here in Utah. And so there's a lot of it's like kind of a shock when it happens, which it's happened to both of us. I was 19 as well.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time it's like not a shock at all, and so like the only remedy is basically to like get married and like
Yeah.
wipe your sin away and like then you can start fresh. And the problem is so many young girls don't know who they are, don't know what they want, as you said, and now you're trying to fit a mold to get society to like respect you and see value in you again. And as you're
Hmm.
saying, from your difficult childhood you're probably already looking for that.
Yeah.
And so it can be very harmful and very dangerous to women, especially just because um just the entire like people will pull away left and right when they find out that like you're pregnant and you're not married. It's a lot to take on, and so you become
Yes.
so close-minded and so dependent on the person to take care of you because all of your resources are already either lacking
Hmm.
or
Yes. And I think in that moment, I felt like such a disappointment
yeah,
in so many ways, including to myself,
yeah.
that I was willing to do almost anything to prove myself.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be looked at as irresponsible. I didn't want to have this sort of like teen mom stereotype. I didn't want to be disappointing.
Yeah, and you didn't want to
And
go through what you just went through as a child.
yes, a
Yeah.
100%. There was also a lot of pressure from not from my family, but from my ex-husband's family, that it was like, you guys need to get married.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And you know, to me in my head, like their family was like more put together than my family was. So I was like, okay, if that's what we need to do, I will do it. And like, I'm going to just
Fit the mold.
try to be this cookie cutter, stereotypical soccer mom that I had as a child envisioned myself being. I was like, I need to immediately go into this role so that I am not, I don't, I have a lot of love for my like parents. So I don't mean this in like a malicious way, but I need to jump and just be consumed by this person that I think that I need to be so that I don't become my
Mhm.
parents.
Mhm.
And I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. So you had your babies back to back as well.
Hmm. Yep.
What
They're
are
12 months and 12 days apart.
shut up.
Yeah.
They're Irish twins.
Yes.
So they're the same age, year to year, or every other year they're the same age? Does that
No,
overlap?
so because of the 12 days,
Oh,
they don't ever overlap.
they're always okay. Back to
Yeah.
back. So cute. And they're in different grades or they're in the same
They're
grade?
in first and second grade.
Oh, cute. They're so beautiful. So, yeah, tell me about what it was like living under, this pressure that you're putting on yourself, as well as the pressure from the in-laws, which I fully understand, as well as trying to like make him happy, even though you know that that's not what he wanted and it's not what you really wanted. And you're just basically trying to like get through the days with these like babies. And
Hmm.
how are you even supposed to like address your marriage when you've got two little babies who need you? And it's a kind of an easy way to escape yourself to be,
Yes.
but like walk me through that one. Tell me how many years you guys were married. um
Um, so we were married for 3 years. We got married while I was pregnant. I had Chance 4 months after we got married, and we stayed married for 3 years, like 3 years and a month or something. Um, and I was super checked out for most of it. I had gotten to a point that I didn't know who I was. I didn't understand the situation that I was in. I felt so much shame on a daily basis. But also it was like I had to kind of just go on autopilot because feeling and sitting with the emotions of my like regular day to day was too much. It was way too much and I just couldn't do it. And every day felt like I was just, like you said, I'm just trying to get through the day, make sure nobody gets a diaper rash, make
yeah,
sure everybody eats. Like my house at the time, sometimes I look back and I think it's so funny because I was so in this mode that everything in my life was perfect except for the way that I felt. And
yeah.
my house was spotless. I like woke up and I did everything that I was supposed to do and I was super on it. And from the outside looking in, I was just, I dressed a certain way, I talked a certain way. I was never too loud. I always was like trying to be respectful, like I'm, on the outside.
You created
I
this
don't know.
external piece, but
Yeah.
you didn't have it internally
No,
before.
I was genuinely, I think by the end of it, I felt like a shell of a human.
Yeah.
And
I've actually heard many girls, one of my best friends has explained how she felt, and she uses that word like shut, like there's nothing inside, that
yes,
everything is gone. You are just functioning from just like an outer shell.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
muscle memory, just
Yeah.
going through every day
Yeah.
and going to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. And are you comfortable to get into like the deeper reasons as to why it fell apart, or should we just leave it there?
No, yeah, that's fine. I think
Okay.
I was talking to my husband, sorry, not my orange marker. I was talking to my husband the other day about a separate situation that we were kind of talking about, and I think that there's so many people that don't want to talk about domestic violence and they don't want to get involved, even if it's their sister or their best friend or their cousin. And it feels like a lot and it's heavy and it is a lot. But I think that for me, and I think for so many other women, all of these people saying, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to this or that, is what leaves you feeling so isolated in so many ways.
Yeah,
Um, and it's
totally.
hard.
It's so hard. I totally. Um, so did the domestic violence happen just randomly one day, or had you seen little areas of it, or is it just slowly boiling and escalating? Was there a specific moment where you said, I'm done? Like, how frequent was it? Was it more so the verbal? Was it more so the emotional? Was it more so the physical? Was it the financial? Because there's so many different types of abuse.
Yes.
Um, and yes,
Um,
verbal verbal abuse is domestic violence. Like
yes.
the verbal abuse is actually the worst. And
100%.
the
No,
verbal
there would
abuse stays with you forever. You never forget.
no. There would be so many times that I would be like, I I just want you to hit me already so that we can be done. Like I wish that you would just hit
Um,
me and be done because I can't do this anymore. Um, and I think that was the first time that I ever remember being like, whoa, what is happening? Nobody has ever talked to me like that. It was something so small. And it didn't even have anything to do with me either. I locked the door when I left. And at the time, we had had a roommate who forgot his key. And my phone was getting just blown up with the nastiest stuff about how, like, you need to get the F home. Like, I can't believe that you effing locked the door. Like, you're so dumb. Like, all this stuff. And I was so confused. But it's almost so alarming
yeah.
that I kind of was doing some self reflection. I was like, shit, am I this dumb? Like, did I do something that I just don't understand? Because it doesn't make sense for somebody to be so upset about something so small that is not my fault.
Yeah.
And it was very confusing. I feel like confused is the best word that I can use to describe that.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I was like, I don't know, because I, like, nobody had talked to me that way.
Yeah.
And I also think that that's the interesting part. Sometimes when I talk about like my childhood trauma with like other people that will say that they have had a traumatic childhood, it's very different. These people have experienced their parents belittling them and being unkind and like being physically abusive and things like that. And that is a very real experience. But my trauma doesn't stem from that at all. So while I was comfortable in stressful situations, I was very confused because that wasn't normal for me.
Yeah.
Um, and then it just escalated, and it's hard when you're in it, especially if you're young, to say like this is abusive or this is abuse because I've never been punched in the face. So that's a lot of people's definition of an
Yeah.
abusive relationship is like a black eye or I'm bleeding or you've hit me. And it's so much more than that. There's so many layers that go into that. And I can remember being in therapy and I was pregnant and I'm like in this relationship. We weren't even married yet. And my therapist looking at me and being, Kayli, like, you are in an abusive relationship right now. And I just didn't even know what to do with that. And it was really verbal and like psychological abuse more than anything else.
Because it's
And
quickest. It
yes.
becomes second nature. So it's like, the physical is probably less frequent, but the
Hmm.
verbal is all of your interactions in a day. every single.
Yes.
So
Just
it's
compiled. Yeah.
yeah,
And I had explained it to somebody else after I got divorced. And I was like, I felt like all day, every day, my life was being projected onto a screen. And there was somebody being like, this is wrong. This is wrong. I hate this. You did this bad. Like your XYZ, whatever it is that he like is trying to convince you that you are. And that was like just my regular day, down to like small things. Why did you make spaghetti tonight? And how often do you make spaghetti? And it's because you're lazy, and all of these small things that just become that make you feel like you are worthless is what it really is.
it does. And also you become immune to it, which is the scariest part.
Yes. Yes.
It's like,
Yep.
it's just another day. I'll just
Yeah.
forgive some more, ignore a little bit more. You just go into a survival mode for the
Hmm.
babies.
Yeah.
Because if you can absorb it, then they'll, I mean, I can't speak
Be
like
okay.
for everybody. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. But, the more that you can absorb. I have a question.
Yes.
When do you feel like there are after effects that you still struggle with today from that? Like,
A
are you hard
thousand
on
percent.
yourself, or are you hard on your kids, or are you hard on your new partner? Because, like, it, you don't just get out of it and then it's gone. Like, there's
No.
anger in you that never got to be expressed. There's confusion in you. There's unsafety in you. And as you're raising half of your partner, sometimes it can be really challenging to be like, these are my kids. They're from God. They have nothing to do with anything else but God. Like,
Yeah.
like you have to just
Yeah.
rewind. And when they're acting out and being all mad or whatever, you have to remind yourself, they don't have any memory of their father. This is fully them being them. This is not,
Oh yeah.
this is not their dad. Like, they don't remember this. This is not that.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
just them. And let
Yeah.
me be present in this moment as they're expressing themselves and not attach everything, and then be like, like you have to almost like create this whole new, or you have to put that in a box and, like, I don't know, sail that away.
Put it away.
That
Hmm.
is your children. I don't know. I'm
That
just
is so valid. No, I've had that thought so many times where I'm like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, is this like something way more serious than it is? And then I'll talk to my therapist, I'll talk to other parents, and they're like, nope, my kid does that too. And I'm like, okay, we're okay, everything's okay.
Thank goodness
Um,
that you were
but
able to
a
leave early
thousand,
where they don't have that memory,
yes,
because there are people
yes,
that
no,
are not in that situation, and the kids really do
yeah.
have those memories and traumas ingrained in them, which is so sad.
Yes. Um, and I think that what you said, like there are still things to this day that I'll have to check myself and I'm like, oh no, this is from my past. This is Kayli circa 2019. This is not me in the current situation that I'm in. And my husband right now is his his nervous system is so regulated. It's crazy. Sometimes I'm like, how do you do that? Like he's just so grounded. Um, but I like he'll say something small, like, hey, do you think maybe next time you can put this away here? Totally normal, valid request. He's saying it with love. He's not belittling me. And I am like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that you're going to say that to me. And I jump into this mode where I'm like, I have to defend myself because
It
I'm assuming you think I'm lazy. You think that I don't do anything. You think that
is
I'm
so carried over.
stupid. And sometimes and he's gotten to the point now where he'll be like, hey, everything's okay. I just want you to know that I don't think that you're any of these things. And honestly, you could put it in the wrong spot every single day and like it would be fine, like and is really good at just kind of regulating me when I start to, well, really what that is you're just getting triggered. Um, and I think more so because that's a pretty basic explanation, but I think for people that have never experienced that, to
Mhm.
understand how nuanced things could be, I had a really hard time eating dessert.
Mm.
It took me years to not feel shame or embarrassment when I was eating like a sweet treat because of the nature of like my relationship with food when I was married. And it was
Mm.
very like, this is disgusting. Like, I don't know how you can eat that. Like, talking about it, and would talk about like my weight and talk about all of these types of things. And it's like that type of stuff, right? How we said it's very, it's all cumulative. It all builds up. And
Yeah.
because it's part of your everyday life, it takes you so
Maybe
long to kind of reverse
unshovel yourself from it.
those beliefs of yourself
Yeah.
when
Well, and you're
like that's,
as you said, you're still fully developing at that time. So not only are you developing, you're also
yeah.
becoming a new role of wife and a mother of two and learning who you are. I would always say back then when like they're like, "How are you?" I would say, well, like I know who I am as a mother and I know who I am as a wife, but I don't know who I am. I would always say that. Like
Yes.
I'm a really good mom. I'll wake up,
Yeah.
I'll do things. I'm a really good wife. At the end of the day, I'll always forgive. I'll always get over it. I've got your back, whatever you need. Sure. Like, I'll make you your dinners. No, I'm not always the best at laundry, but, I try, whatever. Like, I've got you. But when it comes to
Yes.
me, I don't know. And so,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
I think sometimes too, there's this feeling where you like know that you don't know who you are
Yeah.
and you're just kind of masquerading as who you think you're supposed to be. But it's a very interesting feeling to come to the realization that you're pretending.
Mhm.
And now what? Because you have two choices after that. You continue to pretend
Yeah.
for who knows, possibly your whole life, or you implode everything that you have right now to try to find out who that person is.
Yeah.
Both terrifying.
Yeah. And did he put any pressure on you of like, don't you dare leave, like, don't you dare talk about this with anybody? So then you feel like more attached to him and more isolated to him and more scared because you feel dependent? Or did you feel like you'd be good?
Um, I don't ever remember any pressure like that
Mhm.
actually. I think that the reason that I wasn't leaving was because I had such low self-worth at that time that I was like, he is genuinely doing me a favor by being my husband, and no one else is gonna want to fill that role for me.
Like, I should be great
Um,
that I have this.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
babe.
because my core beliefs about myself were just so just low.
Did your family know about this at the time? And were they okay with it?
Hmm.
Did your family know about this
What
at
was
the
that?
time? Did your family know about this at the time?
So
Were they okay with it?
it's interesting because of the nature of my parents' relationship and also the relationship that my mom had with her parents, there was a lot of, on her side, there was a lot of, we'll step in and we'll take care of this, and almost like we'll save you from
Mhm.
what's going on. Um, and my mom, when she talks about it, she wonders if her life would have looked different had they not like stepped in as much. And because of that, when I was reaching out and kind of like needing almost permission to
Mhm.
leave or needing someone to save me,
To validate that you could
it
be
wasn't, yes, it wasn't there.
Okay.
And I think that that was my mom wanting me to like do it on my own.
Mm.
Um, which has like given me a lot of mixed feelings, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest, about like, you know, now that I'm a mom, it's like, what decision would I make in
Yeah.
that exact same situation?
Yeah. Interesting. We have to
Yeah.
talk more off of the podcast. Um, so I'm on 20% and I don't want this to like be cut off. So let's move into like when did you decide no more for my family, and when did you decide, to take accountability for your life and move on, and what did that look like? And, then catch me up to speed with your beautiful new life with your sweet husband, your little, is it elementary school sweetheart, high school sweetheart? You've known
My
him
high
for
school
years.
sweetheart.
Yes. Tell me everything.
Um, yeah, so I got separated from my first husband after he had sent me a Psychology Today article that I didn't even read, but the little summary that he had attached with it was basically like, here in this article, it says that if I have traumatized you, that you're the one that needs to go to therapy, not me. And I was at work and I read it and I was like, I can't do this anymore because how does that make any sense? Like, I cannot carry that weight for the rest of my life. I
The lack of,
cannot do it.
yeah, the lack
Um,
of
but
unaccountability. Like the lack of,
yes.
it's not me, it's you. That's insane.
Um, Yeah. And, you know, I had tried to leave more times than I can count at that point. And we were after that had happened, it was kind of still, you know, you're in this like really gray area. And I, at the time, was having like a lot of suicidal ideation. And it was just like I had written notes to my kids. And when I read it back, I was like, you know what? Anything that I do at this point is better than like leaving them behind.
With
And so I was
this.
like, okay, like we just have to implode everything and we'll figure it out as we go. But like anything is better than like me being gone forever. Um, and yeah, so stuck with my plan to be separated, um, which is hard, especially when you have kids involved. There was a lot of like pleading with God, and why would you give me two kids if you're just going to take them away from me?
Yeah.
And confusion, but I knew that I needed to leave. And we moved back to Hawaii. And when we were in Hawaii, like I did all of my filing and I'm really grateful for my situation that there was not really any fight. So I was like granted everything that I had asked for.
Mm.
And it felt like a fresh start,
Yeah.
but there was like so much healing to do. I didn't know who I was as a mom, as a friend, as a partner, myself, as myself. I didn't know who I was. And we were just living with my mom. Um, and Dylan, my now husband, you know, is from Hawaii too. And Dylan and I met when we were in high school. I was a sophomore and he was a senior, and we had speech class together. And we were just friends. We were just friends. I was obsessed with him. I was in love with him.
Stop.
But I had a boyfriend at the time and he had a
So you're,
girlfriend. So it was just kind of like, yeah, it was just, we're just friends. not to be so disgustingly cheesy, but we kissed for the first time. And I'm not joking. You know how, like, in the movies where they like kiss and there's like little sparkles and fireworks happening, and then all of a sudden they're like in a different world? That's exactly how it felt. I was in like 10th grade, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I never got over it. I never got over it. We dated like, oh gosh, we dated when I was a senior in high school,
And you were in Toronto,
for almost a year.
or you were
When
back?
I was in Hawaii.
Okay, okay,
I
okay,
was in Hawaii, yeah,
okay.
and he was in Hawaii, so that's when we actually dated.
Oh,
Up until then, like, we were just like friends, but we would hang out, and I'd sneak out to see him, and we would just always come back to each other.
oh,
Um, it just wasn't the right timing, and I moved here. Well, I moved to Utah after we broke up the first time. Anyways, I moved back home, and Dylan, mine and Dylan's relationship was very much so like, if you need me, I'll be there. And it doesn't really matter what's going on or if I'm upset at you or whatever it is. There was always just this, it just felt like home. And so when I moved back, yeah, I was like scared. I was nervous. I was like, I have kids. I'm traumatized. Like, I don't even know who I am. And he just met me with so much grace. And it was really fast, honestly. I moved home in like January. We were like
remember.
dating by April,
I,
and it was really quick, but
it was beautiful to
it
watch.
it felt like coming home. Like,
Yeah,
that's the best way that I can describe it.
chills.
Um, and I spent,
And I'm
I,
sure
I, I dove
Dylan
really.
felt. Oh, what? You
Oh,
go.
no, 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 I was listening to you.
I was gonna say, I'm sure that Dylan felt like I can't lose her again. Like this is my time to lock
Yeah,
in with her. I'm sure that's how.
yeah. And the timing was perfect because he had also just gotten out of like a long-term relationship
Yeah.
around the same time that I'm getting divorced, and the timing just like was really great. And when I came home, he had spent so much time looking inward.
Mm-hmm.
And what when I tell you, I came home and this man is like meditating, writing in journals. He has a skincare routine. He's exercising. I was like, okay, sir, like, all right. We
Yeah.
love that.
Yes.
I'm crashing out, but he had it together, for the both of us.
Yeah.
Um,
That's so cute.
yeah. And I, I started a lingerie brand that,
Yeah.
focused on helping victims of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that came from, you don't feel like yourself. Like, after you're in an abusive relationship, like, I don't like the way that I look in the mirror. I'm not meeting myself with any sort of self love or anything like that. And sex was just such a weird thing for me after my marriage that, it just felt right. And it also gave me, I think, like, the voice that I wanted to have, and less about like selling the lingerie. And like, it sold and it was fine. But I connected with so many women in my community where I had like gone to school and grown up, who I had no idea were struggling with similar things, who would open up to me and say, I've experienced this in the past, or I'm experiencing it right now. And, we had like resource fairs. We would help like women connect with other
Chills.
people that they needed, or like we had a a resource thing where that basically was like free, what word am I looking for? Legal help. Like legal
Okay.
aid would come in and talk to women about like filing for divorce or
Amazing.
restraining orders, like things like that. And it was just so monumental for me at the in the time that I was in, because I was like, I want to do everything for these people that I needed at the
Yeah,
time,
that I need.
because I was like, nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many people going through it.
Yeah.
Um, and then that kind of fizzled off. I got sick. I was diagnosed with narcolepsy, and it just kind of
Wow.
wasn't the time.
Yeah.
And I was just going through a lot of stuff with my health. So that kind of like fizzled off a little bit. But
Okay.
it was it was what it needed to be.
Yes. And it can always come back. Like I just, started up the nonprofit and that's been off for like 3 years. But and I'm like, let's just baby step it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna full send, but I think that, yeah, I agree. There's always a meaning and a reason, and it's okay to pause and come back to it later. Just for the sake of time, I just want to know two things.
Yes.
Number one, what is it that
Yeah.
Dylan has taught you about love? And what is it that he provides that you didn't get from your childhood or your first marriage? And number two, just like quickly fill me in on baby Winnie.
I love those questions because Dylan is amazing. Gosh, Dylan loves in this unbelievable, generous, just his whole heart kind of way. And it's one of the things that I admire the most about him. And I think what it is that he loves without fear of bad things happening. He loves in the kind of way where he's like, he's okay if maybe it's not reciprocated, and he's okay if it doesn't work out, because he loves because that's who he is as a person. And it's how I want to show up in the world. It's so great to watch with like my kids. My kids have never like felt anything but loved from him. Um, and my kids watch me be loved with like an intensity that they are absolutely going to expect from their partners. And in that way, I feel like I'm doing work for generations to come. And especially like, I just hope, I think about my parents and my first marriage and how I kind of got there. And I just hope that my kids don't have to do that. And I think that because of the way that Dylan shows up, and he's just so generous, like every single day, he's like, I love you. I'm proud of you. This is what I love about you. And doesn't
Right.
expect anybody to change. No, he's so great. Like he
So,
doesn't expect anybody to change.
yeah.
And I'm a little bit more like eclectic in my day to day, and he just has never wanted me to be anybody but myself. And I think that that's what unconditional love is, you know? And that's the way that he loved. And every day I'm like, I don't know how I got this lucky or what I did to deserve love like that, but he makes me want to be a better person.
I love. Okay, tell me about Winnie. I've got like 10% left on my phone. Tell me about
Okay.
this girl.
Now,
And t- and I'm sorry,
Winnie,
one more thing. One more thing. One more thing. Tell me about, I only fantasize about this because I want more babies. Tell me about the difference in the duality of going through a pregnancy, loved, taken care of, seen, just like Dylan at your every beckoning need. Let me like be there for you and every moment and being in love through that pregnancy. Tell me about that.
it healed me in so many ways that I didn't even know that I needed. I You're so vulnerable when you're pregnant. So vulnerable. You need so much support. And when you're not getting that, it's kind of you just, I don't know, you make it happen. You don't really have any other choice. But then on the other side, to see how that felt from Dylan, who's like, to the smallest degree, he's like in his head at the grocery store. Kayli said that she likes this, so I'm going to pick it up and bring it home because I know that like that's what Kayli's craving right now. Or just and the way that he watched out for me and was like, "Hey, you're working really hard and I know you like to work, but also make sure that you're resting. Don't push yourself too hard." Um you Just the thoughtfulness made such an impact, and it made such a difference going into our birth. Um, Winnie came in like the middle of the night, very quick, and was like my first unmedicated birth. And
Oh,
I could not have done it without Dylan. I could not, I don't know what would have happened to me, but his calm energy and the way that he was just like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you're doing incredible, and just showed up. And even the way that he still talks about it today just makes me feel empowered as a mother. It makes me feel confident in my choices when I'm parenting. And just because I know that Dylan believes in me and I know that Dylan thinks the world of me. And because of that, I have this freedom to go out there and like be the mom that I want to be and show up in the way that I want to show up. And it was like that in my pregnancy too. Like I was having so much fun with my outfits.
yeah,
And
you
I was
were.
like, look at my belly. Like I'm gonna show my belly to the whole world. And
See
Dylan's
that?
like, yeah, girl, like go on.
Yes.
But it just felt nice. Like it felt nice to just be loved so intensely through what is one of the hardest things that women will ever experience.
Yeah.
And Winnie is a firecracker.
Oh,
Winnie, she is spicy and I love her to death. And Chance and Dolly adore her. They're like the three amigos and she bosses them around, but
oh,
it's healing to
yeah.
watch.
Yeah. Well, I am so happy that you have that, and just you are a walking testament to other single mothers like myself um that there are men out there that will love your babies and that want to, and that there is a life after the single motherhood period. And um you guys
Yeah.
just inspire me. I remember when I saw your guys' wedding photos, I like fell out of my chair. I was like gasping for air. It was just like it was just like the classiest, most stunning. Like your dress was just so elegant, and just your little children like running through the grass as like you and Dylan are like standing in the background. Like I sobbed looking at those photos because I was just like, that is what I want so bad, and it will come. I know it will, but um, I'm just
Yes.
so happy that you have him and that your children have him, and what a blessing he is. And God is so good, and God provides with time and
Oh, yes.
trusting God's timing and
Yeah.
trusting the plan and all of the things. I'm gonna close out, but I just wanted to say there is such a duality from just like watching your face and having this conversation live and seeing the way that your face was talking about the first part, and then like it just fully changed and like lit up the second that we started talking about Dylan and this like little second chapter of your motherhood journey. Like it was just so beautiful to watch. And so I hope that like you and Dylan can
Thank
like
you.
set a date night and like hopefully just watch this together and just so that he can like
Oh my gosh,
witness
yes.
not only like he knows how incredible you are, but just to hear it again, like, yes, this is your experience and this is your walk. And then just like his beautiful little purpose in your life, and just for him to also feel that purpose would just be really sweet for you guys. So I hope that you can watch this back. But thank you so much for being on this.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Thank you for being
Thank
vulnerable.
you.
This stuff is so scary, and
Thank you.
like we only wish healing and love for the people in our lives that have hurt us. We are not out here to try and,
Yep.
slander anyone's name, but we also, there is value in talking about what your reality is. That is your story and that is your voice. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for just being brave enough to talk. So
Of course. Again, thank you so much for even thinking about me. And I'm so excited to see where the podcast goes. I know that you're just touching so many people's lives and doing really, really important work. And I'm so happy for you.
thank you. I love you. We'll talk soon.
I love you. Bye.